Welcome to the show, everybody. It's a Football Friday here on the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag. Welcome in. My name is Mark Farzetta, and this is the Farzy Show. If you guys caught me last night on Fighting's postgame, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Angel Hernandez right now, and I don't think anyone's the biggest fan of Angel Hernandez, and I don't know anyone who's ever a big fan of Angel Hernandez, at least in his umpirial career, because that was atrocious last night. We'll get into that. We'll also get into the fact that the Eagles are going to improve to, in my prediction and many people's predictions, 4-0 on the season when they handle their business with the Commanders. I have felt for a while, and I felt like this last year, and I'm going to feel like this again, and I do feel like this again. The Commanders are just going to be a thorn in the Eagles' side. Like, they're a team that you can overlook because they're not the Giants, they're not the Cowboys. They're really no real threat. And I know they started out the season 2-0 before crashing and burning, oh my God, against the Buffalo Bills last week, including Sam Howell getting sacked 9 times. 9 times. I'm going to get to it in my top five things I'm thinking about when it comes to this game. But when it comes to this game, 9 sacks. And the Bills have a very good defense, don't get me wrong. They have the second best defense in the league in terms of points and yards. So they're pretty stacked, okay? The Eagles are nothing to scoff at, as we know, when it comes to getting after the quarterback. This defensive line, it can do that as well. But yeah, 9 sacks, 15 quarterback hits. If I had a musical instrument, the triangle, I'd be ringing it right now saying, come and get it, boys. Dinner's served. How's on the table? So I look forward to that. We'll get to that in the top 5 things. And guess what? Another complaint about the brotherly shove. This one coming directly from the defensive coordinator you're going to be facing this week in Jack Del Rio. So all that fun on today's program. So let's start it off with some baseball chatter, shall we? Phillies' 7-game win streak was snapped last night, unfortunately, and that was at the hands of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I was really looking forward to them, riding a nice long win streak into the postseason, and it was very doable, given the fact that you got the Mets after this series with the Pirates, who also happen to suck at baseball. And Kyle Schwarber got me in my feels. He got me in my feels to start off the game, folks. He had that 46 home run of the season. He got an 0-2 fastball top of the zone in the first inning yesterday and blasted it 444 feet to right field, second deck. Like, I thought originally it was the middle of the second deck. It was beyond. It was beyond. It was definitely past it. It was some absolute Schwar bomb and a half. And then they introduced a Schwarburger is what they're calling it, okay? And it looks fantastic. It's got brisket on it. You can get it at Citizens Bank Park during the playoffs. It looks amazing. But it started off with his solo home run to give the Phillies a 1-0 lead in that first inning, and it was a thing of beauty. 46 home runs, ties his total from last year. Obviously, would love to see one more. Bohm did play last night, didn't get his 20th home run of the season, but I did like the fact that at least Rob Thompson has an eye on it, knowing that that's a great plateau. That's not a plateau necessarily, but that is a great milestone for Alec Bohm, and he wants to see him get it this year. He said it before the game last night. So the game goes on, and the Phillies use a mix of pitchers. They had Zach Wheeler start out the game, going 4 innings. He allowed 1 run on 4 hits, struck out 6. That was nice to see. I think that brings his strikeout total to 212 on the season. Then they bring in Matt Strahm, who struggled. They brought in Michael Lorenzen, who was okay. Got hit around in his first inning out there, but gave him 2 innings, both scoreless, so that's nice. Craig Kimbrell came in. He did fine. He got a 1-2-3 inning, couple of strikeouts as well. Looked like he had his good stuff, and you know what? That's great. I'm glad he came out, and I'm glad that he had a good outing for Craig Kimbrell. Anything you can do at this point to build his confidence, and then still give him that rest before the postseason, because he's going to be on the postseason roster, I'm 1,000% fine with. And that's what they gave him last night. But ultimately, Phillies ended up losing 3-2. Trey Turner provided the Phillies only other run of the ball game last night, and he got 3 for 4 last night. Trey Turner was, including that double. He stole third and then took home on a throwing error, so he scored the second run that way. And you know what's really crazy, folks? It's the last game at Citizens Bank Park for the regular season. I had this thought on post game last night, and I thought when it happened, I was like, oh, this is the last home game of the season. A lot of season ticket holders might be trying to save up so they can afford their playoff tickets, right? Might try to make a couple of bucks at the end of the year by giving away this ticket or trying to sell this ticket, right? So, fans are there that might not regularly have a chance to be there. So they want to see Bryce Harper. You know what else they want to see? They want to see their Phillies win. And in a one-run ball game, there's a chance that a Bryce Harper swing could change the dynamic of the game drastically. But in the third inning of last night's game, Angel Hernandez, the third base umpire last night, saw a pitch that hit the shoelaces, more or less, of Bryce Harper. Should have been ball 4. Harper lunged at the pitch, kept his hands back, kept the bat back as he unquestionably checked his swing, started to take his equipment off to trot down to first base to be a one-out base runner for the Phillies in that third inning. And credit to the Pirates. I forget their cat. Who was behind the plate last night? Anyway, looks up. Was it delay? Looks up, appeals to third because he figures, why the hell not? Why the hell not? Saw the little lunge there. Why not? Just goes for the appeal. Home plate umpire says, yeah, sure, we're appeal. They appeal. Angel Hernandez rings up Bryce Harper. I have seen in my life a million of these plays where undoubtedly I see the guy check his swing at the plate and I go, oh, he held up. And then the third base umpire rings him up and I go, what the? He didn't swing. And then I'll see the replay and I'm like, all right, yeah, he swung, or, ooh, that was really close. This was, without question, the single worst non-credited check swing I have ever seen by an umpire in an appeal. Ever. Like, it was at the point where the home plate umpire should have said, I'm not appealing. It was clear. But how many times do we say, just appeal? The guy's probably going to agree with you anyway. I've heard Larry Anderson say that a million times on the radio. But this time, they decide to appeal to Angel Hernandez. And Angel Hernandez rings up Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper didn't even look. He knew he didn't swing. He bends over, starts taking off his shin pad, and starts getting ready to trot down first base. I would have loved it if Bryce Harper just would have went, like, there's no way I swing, just right down the first base line, just like on the first base bag after he realizes he's been wrong. I'm like, what the hell? Are you serious? That would have been one way to do it. The other way was for him to go ballistic, absolutely ballistic. Rather than me tell you what he said, here's Bryce Harper, courtesy NBC Sports Philadelphia, on what went down when he trotted out. I'm telling you, folks, just real quick, for those who didn't see it, I can't play like MLB footage on the show, all right? But allow a demonstration. For the people on the podcast, I'm about to do an incredible, dead accurate imitation of Bryce Harper's non-swing last night. All right, here you go. So he gets up. All right, so he goes like that. He did that. There's a little like that, like that. Okay. He rings him up. So Bryce Harper on Angel Hernandez and what went down.
Facing a guy I've never faced before, and I get to 3-2 count. Take a slider down and in. Obviously didn't go, and wasn't even thinking about it in that situation. Was taking my stuff off, and I heard the crowd's reaction. I was just like, "There's no way." Just Angel in the middle of something again. I mean, it's just every year. It's the same story, same thing. I'm probably going to get a letter from Michael Hill, and I'm going to get fined for being right again. So it's the same thing over and over and over and over again, and it's just not right.
It is not right at all. It is not right at all. It is terrible, as I have to mute my own monitor here. Sorry. It is terrible. Atrocious, even. Like, I was waiting for the appeal to the appeal, because there's no way, shape, or form that he should have been rung up in that instance. And he goes out and just absolutely goes bananas on Angel Hernandez. It was, in some way, shape, or form, reminiscent of Ryan Howard on Scott Berry in, I want to say, like 2010. It was a late game, that game, and Ryan Howard was called for a check swing, and Scott Berry, like, mimicked him. So I give credit to Angel Hernandez for being calm throughout the situation. But It was the worst check swing non-call I've ever seen. It was the worst check swing ring up I have ever seen. And Bryce Harper walks out. First off, he starts yelling like crazy over at Angel Hernandez, walks out to him, yells at him more. And apparently Bryce Harper also said after the game, and Rob Thompson said the same thing, that Angel Hernandez told them he swung. He swung. When you see the replay, you'll see that you swung. You offered at it. Unless they've changed the rule drastically, there is nothing close to a swing. Not even close. Not a breaking of the wrists, not even a breaking of the plane extended above home plate or whatever you want to call it. None of it. Not even close to it. It's egregious. I don't know what the hell he saw to make that call, but that's what he called. And fans last night got cheated out of that. The Phillies got cheated out of their 90th win at home. Bryce Harper maybe cheated out of another home run later in the ball game. Phillies obviously cheated out of a win. It was just absolutely god-awful, terrible that Angel Hernandez made that call. And for the life of me, I can't understand how he is still a major league umpire. And Bryce Harper's right there, one of your stars of the game, a two-time MVP, is talking about how it's him again in the middle of it. Here I'm going to get fined again for being right. It's terrible. Now, there's one thing that came out of this. That's pretty cool. Bryce Harper, in walking, so Angel Hernandez throws him out, okay? Bryce Harper's stomping back to the dugout and takes his helmet and launches it over the netting, okay, behind the Phillies dugout, and into the crowd where you see 1,000 hands go up to try to catch that helmet, as one would assume. And after a little bit of a scrum for the helmet, it gets caught by this young man. Check this out. How incredible is this? All right. Hayden Dorfman, 10 years old. This is from Alex Coffey there on the old Twitter, now known as X. Has this helmet. It's signed by Bryce Harper. He signed it, looks like Philly. That's pretty awesome. Signed it Bryce Harper. And this kid is ecstatic. Taryn Hatcher did a great job of catching up with this kid. And he was awesome. It was a great interview. It was a phenomenal interview. And she caught up with him afterwards. And he was just great, and said that his dad basically got the helmet and the little scrum there, and it wound up with him. And he said he wanted to wear it to school, and his dad was like, "You're not wearing that to school." And good job, Dad. That's the right call there. But that's the one good thing that came out. But I will say this: if you're a real Philly fan, you throw that helmet back. We don't want the product of an Angel Hernandez horrific call. No, I'm kidding. But that is pretty fantastic. Isn't that great? That's beautiful. Good for that kid. But yeah, the Phillies took the loss last night, so we got to wait a little bit longer to get a win number 90 on the season. Win number 90 on the season. So Phillies unfortunately lost 3-2. They now go to Flushing, New York to take on the New York Metropolitans for the final 3 games of the season. Zach Wheeler will get the who is it tomorrow? Taijuan Walker is tomorrow? Today. Excuse me. As the Phillies get ready to set their rotation for the postseason. I think Christopher Sanchez is supposed to get a couple of innings in Taijuan Walker's start. I think that's the way that's supposed to shake out. In case you didn't see it, Rhys Hoskins took batting practice with live pitching, although live pitching, batting practice, I'll call it batting practice. It was a coach's pitch, okay? That's who was throwing to him yesterday, a coach. So I don't know how. Anyway, he was taking swings, and he was barreling them up well. And Spencer Strider was rumored to have pooped his pants when he saw that video. Between the Phillies fans and now Rhys Hoskins taking batting practice, Spencer Strider is terrified. As for tonight, 7:10 start time in Flushing, New York. Taijuan Walker gets to start against Tyler McGill. So that's how that will shape up tonight for Taijuan Walker. Taijuan Walker, some struggles as of late. Despite 15 wins, he is coming off one of his best starts, and it was against these same New York Metropolitans. The 6 innings pitched, 2 runs, 5 hits. Both runs were earned, issued 1 walk. So, hey, maybe he's back on track. We'll talk about that. All right. Let's move it on over to our Philadelphia Eagles. They got the Washington Commanders, who come to this game at 2-1, fresh off a 37-3 loss to the Buffalo Bills. Eagles coming to this game after their 25-11 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, here's the only thing. I'm going to start off with what has my attention the most out of everything. This isn't part of my top 5, okay? But this is something that has one thing that I look at as a, that is, the Eagles are supposed to win this game handily. The Eagles are supposed to blow this team out. It's not even supposed to be close. Everything is supposed to go the Eagles' way. And last year, nothing went the Eagles' way at the Link. I know Jaylen Herz was asked about it earlier in the week about how last time you guys faced this team at the Link, nothing went right, and they snapped your winless streak or your perfect record and all that stuff. I don't think that's a factor anymore. They beat them the second time around. I think they've exercised that demon. I don't think it really matters to them where they play. I know they came into our house and they took it. Yeah, maybe, but that to me that's more of along the lines of the high school Harry stuff. I know I say that a lot about other things. Other people don't chalk this up as high school Harry stuff, but it matters. And that's bulletin board material mostly that I do feel matters, but this is something that I don't really feel matters. Now, the only thing that might make them pull focus a little bit more is that it's a divisional game. You always want to take care of business in the divisional home game. Sure, you want to take care of it, but it's not necessarily because it's the Commanders and what happened last year. So that, to me, doesn't really affect this game much, being that they already had the opportunity to exercise those demons last year. So I don't have an issue with it. And also, they went to a Super Bowl, so I don't think they think back on that one game against the Commanders and go, "Oh yeah, that really got to me." But nonetheless, it's what happened. But I don't think it factors in much. The other thing that is interesting is that this is a game that, like I said, you're supposed to dominate, and whenever you're supposed to dominate a game, like everything, it just puts me on edge a little bit. Like it's almost too perfect. It's like in a movie when somebody says, it's a little quiet in here. Yeah, a little too quiet. And then that's when the monster comes out or whatever. That's when the bad guys enter the frame. That's how I feel about this game. Everything is supposed to be great. The Eagles are supposed to look awesome. And that has me kind of expecting things to not so great and not be so awesome. I'm not going to pay attention to that. I'm not going to go into the deep, dark recesses of my brain, try to find something terrible. I'm instead going to stick with the idea that the Eagles are still going to win this game, no matter what challenge is presented to them in this Commanders game. So let's get into my top 5 things that I'm going to be looking at for this game, because you can't look at emotion, unfortunately. But number 1, Washington run defense sucks. They absolutely suck. So the Bills, just take the last game, for instance. The Bills they're not supposed to have this great run game. Last week, they had a great run game. They're supposed to be about Josh Allen and him being able to throw the football, Josh Allen being able to run. Look at a guy like Cook last week, and he was able to cook against Washington. That's not supposed to be the strong suit of the Bills, but it was last week. 168 yards versus the Bills, 5.1 yards per carry. That's what Washington allowed last week against the Bills. DeAndre Swift, come get some. Eagles offensive line, have at it. You're going to be seeing instances in this game where I think the Eagles are going to be able to run all over this Commanders team. If the Bills were able to do it like that, I certainly think DeAndre Swift, the second leading rusher in the NFL, mind you, will be able to run. The number 1 leading rusher through the last 2 weeks of the season will be able to run all over this Commanders defense. So I can't wait to watch that in this game. On the other side of things, Jaylen Herz versus Washington's pass defense. This is number 2 on my list. I am waiting. Now, Mike Sealski rolled it out there during the press conference yesterday, or 2 days ago now, with Jaylen Herz, saying that, some quarterbacks can throw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the people look at that quarterback and say, oh, he did great. He played great, but maybe the team lost. Like, the team lost, but he played great. Jaylen Herz doesn't give a damn about that. But I am waiting for one of those games for Jaylen Herz where he just has an incredible passing performance in there, and he looks like the number 1 reason the Eagles won the game, as opposed to DeAndre Swift or the offensive line or the defense looking like the number 1 reason the Eagles won a game. So I'm waiting for that game where Jaylen Herz looks like the most, beyond question, most valuable player out there. And certainly his ability impacts the run game, because certain run lanes are taken away because you have, or given to a running back, because you have to account for what Jaylen Herz can do in the run game. Now, it might be a little bit different than what we have seen over the last 2 years, because the Eagles really aren't running the RPO the way they have over the last 2 years. And we talked about that on Tuesday morning after this game against the Bucs. But overall, Jaylen Herz going up against this pass defense, one thing you got to keep an account of is that this Washington pass defense has been pretty solid. Actually, 8th best pass defense in the league. That's what they're ranked at right now. And they have faced Russell Wilson, who I know sucks in Denver. And I know they phased 2 outs. Oh, Josh Dobbs. Okay. So, yeah, not exactly the greatest of quarterbacks. And then they did an okay job against Josh Allen last week, allowing the run game to be the star of the show and not so much the passing game. But 8th best defense, pass defense in the league. Kyle Fuller came up with an interception last week against Allen. And he also came up with a pass deflected as well. Then you also look at Emmanuel Forbes. It's a fine job for him in their secondary. So there's a couple of things there that I'm obviously going to be looking at. And then their pass rush is streaky, to say the least, and we'll be getting to that. Next thing I'm going to be looking forward to on this list is the Eagles' defensive line. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Desmond Ridder is lucky that he's playing in London this week, because last week he faced the Detroit Lions, who sacked him 7 times. And I think if I'm Desmond Ridder, I want to get out of the country too, because I want to be as far away from that Detroit defensive line as humanly possible. And then it looked so terrible last night either against the Green Bay Packers. What a game that was. Oh, that'll be in the morning rush, by the way. The only guy that probably wants to get out of the country more than Desmond Ridder is probably Sam Howell. Oh, my goodness gracious. That was again, 9 times he was sacked by Buffalo. He was hit 15 times by the Bills defense. And now he's got Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, and a supposedly more healthy than ever Hassan Reddick. That's foreshadowing on the last one there. Oh, good luck to you, fella. This ain't going to be pretty. This ain't going to be pretty even a little tiny bit. If that's what those guys did, oh, man. Eagles are going to be right around those same lines, my friends. Right around those same lines. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. It has to do with the number one thing I'm looking forward to on this list. But number 2, I do want to see how the Eagles handle Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Now, it wasn't much. I think it was Sweat, the only one that came up with a quarterback hit last week against Josh Allen, who, of course, can move around. He's a pretty damn good athlete. Very mobile quarterback, as we all know by now. But no sacks last week. No sacks better. We know they're better than that. They are certainly a streaky unit when it comes to getting after quarterbacks. But I am going to be very much aware of Chase Young and Montez Sweat in this particular game and where they are, because they're going to be hungry. They're going to be determined. They're going to obviously be pulling focus after last week, wanting a bounce-back performance, as will this entire defense after allowing 37 points. But it starts right there with that pass rush. So it's definitely the number one thing I'm looking at when it comes to this Commanders team that I think could change the outcome of a game. They force turnovers. They force a mistake. Then they'll be able to capitalize on it. They were certainly able to do that as an entire defensive unit last year when they did play at the Link. But the number one thing I'm looking forward to seeing in this game is Hassan Reddick. The number one thing I'm most curious about in this game is Hassan Reddick. Because Hassan Reddick was at his locker yesterday, and he was telling people this is the first time he played without anything on his hand. And I think that has been not even a tackle, in the last 2 games now for him? I mean, forget about a sack. Forget about a quarterback hit. Hassan Reddick's been a non-factor, Mr. Double-digit sacks in each of the last 3 years. This is Mr. Defensive Player of the Year candidate. You got to be kidding me. People are like, oh, how much does it matter? I think it matters. I think it matters big time. And now he's going to have an opportunity to get after a quarterback. I can't wait for it. I absolutely 1,000% cannot wait to see it for this particular game and this matchup against the Washington Commanders. I think this defensive line is going to eat. I think you're going to have instances here with your defensive line, your linebackers. I think you're going to see some safety blitzes dialed up as well. I can't wait to see what they do against this offense. I'll give you my final prediction at the end of the show, but I am amped for it. And then I don't know if you'd classify this as extra added motive. I think the only real motivation the Eagles have in this game is, other than just flat out normally winning, right? Obviously. But I think it has to do with the division rival opponent, the division rival aspect of it. You don't want to lose the game in the division. Even though the Eagles, I think, are very well on their way to winning this division again and all that stuff. It's still a divisional game. And that should be the only thing that makes you pull focus more so than any other game. I don't see a revenge factor, as I talked about earlier. And I don't see this as a motivating factor either. But we've talked a lot about the brotherly shove over the last couple of weeks. I never thought we'd talk about the brotherly shove as much and Taylor Swift as much in a football week, but we have. And yesterday, Jack Del Rio, defensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, of course, also a head coach with a defensive mind in Ron Rivera, but Jack Del Rio was addressing the media as it was Coordinator's Day yesterday, and he was asked about the brotherly shove and whether or not it's a legal play, and he was asked his thoughts on it. And here's what Jack Del Rio had to say about his opponent this week, their unstoppable play.
Well, it's not being officiated as illegal, so we just have to prepare for it. I mean, I would personally like to see it eliminated, not just because they run it better than anybody, although they do run it better than anybody, but I don't think that's a football play. I think it's a nice rugby play. And it's not what we're looking for in football. But until it's outlawed, we'll prepare for it and get ready to do our best to stop it.
Let's hear from Jack Del Rio again. Here it is. Ready? Thank you very much. For the people on the podcast, that was a cut of Jack Del Rio. Not at all me, just making baby sounds. Anyway, that was I don't understand how this has got this much attention. I don't get it. It's a great somebody pointed out to me in the chat yesterday, I forget who it was, like, okay, so how is the intentional grounding rule not called when they spike the football? I mean, because everybody can do that. It's legal. Not everyone can do what the Eagles do. J.J. Watt, we showed it to you guys yesterday. J.J. Watt was even like, yeah, stop it. His only real critique of it was the fact that it was called the tush push. And he's like, weird name, man, whatever. And I'm like, well, now the brotherly shove. I just don't understand how this has gotten this much attention. I don't understand it. It's I guess it's just because no one else is as good as the Eagles. It's like, to me, it's like, oh, you can't throw a jump ball to Randy Moss. Okay. How about you figure out a way to stop it? Nobody did. Hall of Famer. It's just stupid. It's just beyond stupid. But I don't see that as motivation, but I just want to let you guys know that it has gone beyond. It has gone beyond the realm of just fans debating it and talking heads talking about it. It has entered the minds of defensive coordinators, especially the one that you're going to be facing. As far as the injury report for the Eagles, here's what it looks like. Sidney Brown, Justin Evans, Devontae Smith did not participate in practice. Devontae Smith's got nothing to do with a hamstring, got nothing to do with a calf, got nothing to do with a baby being born. God bless him for that. It has to do with an illness. That's why he didn't practice. Justin Evans still dealing with the neck injury. And then Sidney Brown dealing with the hamstring. Limited participants yesterday. Fletcher Cox, Cam Jurgens, Quez Watkins. Fletcher Cox got a knee issue. Cam Jurgens dealing with that groin. Quez Watkins dealing with the hamstring injury. Again, speedster. I don't trust the hamstring injury whenever you talk about a speedster there. And then we're also looking at Britton Covey, Zach Cunningham, Landon Dickerson, and Boston Scott, all full participants at practice. Here's my thing when I saw this. Boston Scott being healthy, does this mean Rashad Penny is not going to be active again? Because I wouldn't be surprised. He was not very active, despite being active and on the roster last week. But here we are. So Boston Scott, full participant in practice. Landon Dickerson, glad to see that he's up and running, and that's all well and good as far as this goes. Here's, in all honesty, what I'm expecting in this game, and this isn't just a what do you call it? This isn't necessarily what this is what I want, and this is what I think will happen. So rarely do those two things actually match up. The Buffalo Bills. They're not undefeated. They're not one of the three undefeated teams left in the NFL, but they're still a pretty damn good football team. They're 2-1. They've had two statement games after dropping the opener Thursday night against the Jets in the game Aaron Rodgers went out of in 4 snaps. It's not that it's they've been a much better team since then. They've had 2 statement games since then. I am waiting for a big statement game from the Eagles. And look, the biggest statement you can make is being 3-0. I get that. But I would love to see a dominated game wire to wire in every aspect of the game. And the only aspect of the game that's been shaky to this point has been the passing game. And I pointed out 8th best passing defense in the league, but you could obviously look at who they played against and say, nah, it's not that great. And the Eagles aren't far behind there as far as how they've performed this year in every aspect. But in terms of just steady football, we saw it. I think we've seen a maturation process of this offense, especially having a new play caller in Brian Johnson. I think we have seen over the last 3 games, every game they have gone up as far as their yards per game have gone, and that's been a great sign to see. But the passing game last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I thought it was by far the best that we have seen this season. So if we see another step forward, then maybe we see that balance of them jumping out there with a great passing game and then being able to control the game with their run game in the third and fourth quarter. The only thing that is different with the Eagles than most NFL teams is that they run the ball phenomenally well. And they use that run to establish everything in the early goings of the game. But if we could see some of those big plays that we have seen over the last couple of weeks to Devontae Smith, to A.J. Brown, to Olamide Zaccheaus, if we could see all that the way we have seen it over the last couple of games and then see it in the first quarter where they're able to put the ball in the end zone to complete a good opening drive, then I'll feel a lot better about this game going forward. Because if you remember, against the Vikings, they had that deep play to Devontae Smith. They weren't able to punch the ball in the end zone. Then last week, they were able to get in the red zone again. They had another big run. They had another big pass, unable to punch it in. Jaylen Herz said it's just a matter of being able to put it in the end zone, just being able to punch it in. We'll get it in the end zone, punch it in. Complete that first drive. That first drive sets the tone for the entire game. You get stopped. You get denied points because you go for it on a 4th and 2 with a weird play and odd personnel, even weirder personnel like you did against the Vikings. It doesn't really set the mood for the rest of the game, despite the Eagles being able to come back on it. And then the same thing against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nice drive to open things up. Can't get in the end zone. Got to rely on Jake Elliott to punch 3 through the uprights. I need to see a controlled game. They were pretty much in control throughout the entire Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. That was great. But in this particular game against this team in your division at home, 1 o'clock kickoff, embrace the hell out of that, folks. You only got 2 other ones on the schedule right now. I just want to see a controlled game, start to finish. I want to see the passing game find a great rhythm in the early goings of this game. I want to see Jaylen Herz make smart decisions with the football, which he has done through his career, which is why when I see him not make smart decisions with the football, it goes, that's not the guy. That's not it. The only real bad decision I saw him have last week was the deep ball when you're up, 20-3 at the time in the third quarter with 3:50 remaining. It's the only one I saw last week. Just want to see a clean game from Jaylen Herz. I want to see DeAndre Swift continue to look like one of the best runners in the NFL. I do want to see dominance. And for the most part, I think you are going to see dominance in this game. And I can't wait to see this get underway and the Eagles get out there on Sunday afternoon and just see what they're going to be able to do against this squad. It's going to be up to this offensive line, obviously, with a good pass rush from the Commanders to protect Jaylen Herz and also make sure they're opening up those running lanes the way they were and the way they have been all season long. I've watched it 100 times. That DeAndre Swift run where he capped it off with that hurdle and got like an extra 8 yards, the hole that opened up in the middle of that line of scrimmage with Jason Kelce just driving the defensive tackle back on roller skates and Cam Jurgens pulling off the ball to go to the right and make another block, and Jordan Mailata just blowing up the left side of that line of scrimmage. Oh my goodness gracious. That was just so gorgeous. We're going to be seeing a lot of that in this Commanders game, so I look forward to seeing that. I'll just give you my prediction right now while I'm on it, so you guys can respond to it as well. When you look at this team and you look at this Commanders team, the Commanders started out 2-0. They of course beat Jonathan Gannon's Cardinals. They came back on them and won that game, and everyone thought it was incredible. Then they had that incredible. Really, they held off the Broncos. Got lucky as hell on that. What's his name? Baptiste. Come on. Blanking on his name. Juste? Forget it. Anyway, he had a pass interference against the Broncos. Should have been called. It wasn't. But they won. So they squeaked out 2 early wins on the season, and then they got their lunch fed to them against the Bills. I think the Eagles continue that trend. I think there's going to be another 30-plus point performance for the Eagles in this game. I see the Eagles winning this one straight up by a score of 35-13. I've said the Commanders are going to be a thorn in their side. I can't see the Eagles at this point in time dropping to 3-1 on the season because of the Washington Commanders coming into Philly and taking advantage of any mistakes that they're going to make like they did last year at the Link. I just don't see it happening 2 times in a row. And I know it's a divisional game, and everything in my gut when it comes to this game, just about how sure you are, makes me want to go the other way. Not this time. Not this game. Eagles handle this game soundly. And we're all continuing to feel phenomenal about the Philadelphia Eagles going forward. Let me tell you about the incredible people at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. You want NFL action? You want college action? Make sure you check out the phenomenal people at MyBookie.ag for all the action. Make sure you put in my promo code Farzy. That's my promo code Farzy. Check out all the great offers that they have at MyBookie.ag. You can play on MyBookie.ag anytime, anywhere, and bet on anything at MyBookie.ag. So make sure you guys check out MyBookie.ag and use promo code Farzy. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing. I started out on the Farzy Show page yesterday. I'm going to start it out on Jacob today. Let's see what you guys got going on over here. Farzy can't bet tomorrow. How is Angel Hernandez still in the league? Says Farzy can't bet tomorrow. I have no idea. I would love to hear and say, like, I want something to leak out regarding the Angel Hernandez in a meeting with the league. And like, how soon after you blow a call as an umpire, just in general, do you know that you really blew that call as an umpire? I've heard about umpires in a game, like maybe checking a strike zone. I don't know. I don't know if they're told in the IFB along the way. I doubt it, but I don't know. How long after do you think Angel Hernandez knew he blew that call? After the game, I assume. And is there an apology? I don't know what the hell I was looking at. Sorry. Yeah. Niners all damn day. Ooh, this will be a good one. Farzetta. Your Eagles better stack wins early because your second half schedule is rough. Niners getting the number 1 seed this year. Really? That's adorable. Good for you guys. That's nice that you guys have confidence. Especially because you know you're going to be coming here in the playoffs, right? I mean, that's if you make the playoffs. I got a lot of respect for the Niners. They're a very good football team. They're just not as good as the Eagles. I do find it. I was on with Jody McDonald, Birds 365 earlier in the week. Was it Tuesday? I think it was. Yeah, it was Tuesday. And Jody McDonald pointed out to me that not the power rankings, I forget what the other thing was called, but it was basically that the San Francisco 49ers were ranked ahead of the Eagles. Ahead of the Eagles. Like, I understand it's close. I'm not saying the Niners are terrible. But, like, isn't the proof in the pudding? The guys came to Philly last year and lost and did not go to the Super Bowl. And you could cry all you want about injuries. A lot of people deal with injuries. The Eagles dealt with injuries, and they won a Super Bowl. So quit crying over your Dungeness crabs, which are totally overrated, by the way. Anyway. Farzy, get me some tickets to the NLDS. Emily Rodriguez. Sorry, Emily. I got no hookup. I apologize. Will to Beast Davenport, did you watch Jaylen Herz press conference? The end is the reason why he is a future GOAT. Oh, yeah, I watched it. Are you talking about his concentration thing about why he only cares about the win? And that's it? Yeah. That's Jaylen Herz. And Sealski took criticism for that. I thought it was a legit question. And he was like, you only care about the win, right? Why? And Jaylen Herz was like, yeah, I only care about the win. And that was it. And then Mike dug a little deeper and he said, well, it's not everyone's like that. What makes you like that? And I thought it was a great window into the psyche of Jaylen Herz, but nothing he said surprised me. This guy, Jaylen Herz cares about his own personal performance the way Nick Castellanos cares about a post-game interview, okay? He doesn't care. He just cares about the win. And is that all we really give a damn about? Like, don't get me wrong, if Jaylen Herz goes out there and throws 3 interceptions and the Eagles win a game 17-16, well, then, yeah, I got issues with how my quarterback played. And guess what? Jaylen Herz is going to have issues with the way he played because he made it harder for his team to win. But I don't really ever see him be a detriment to this team. I don't look at Jaylen Herz and go, oh, I was really hurting the team. Because here's one thing, and this is not at all going down the Ben Simmons route of like, he does other things, okay? But Jaylen Herz, if he's not throwing the ball for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns and having a quarterback rating of 150, you know what I mean? If he's not doing that, he is doing other things. He is, with his athletic ability and the uniqueness of his game, as the Eagles say, he's opening up those running lanes because people got to account for him. You always got to be aware he can break a run off, or he can scramble around behind the line of scrimmage, and he can buy time for his receivers. Oh, and he can throw the deep ball pretty damn well. So you got to account for everything. So you're going to stop the run, he'll throw it over you. You're going to bring 8 guys in the box, he's going to beat you. You want to have him wait behind the line of scrimmage? Guess what? He stood for 6 seconds, snap to throw last week against the Bucs because of this offensive line, and found the open receiver and hit him in stride for a touchdown. Like, he's not the. I don't ever look at a game and be like, just Hurts sucked today, man. I don't know, it just sucked today. Hurts was terrible. One of his worst games that I've seen him play recently was against the Cardinals, and they won that game. And that was the game where it was 2 years ago. It was last year. Kept on checking down to the bubble screens, the wide receiver screens, time and time again, even to a point where Shane Steichen, you never hear coordinators talk about it, but it was even when Shane Steichen even came out in his press conference and said, it was a little much. It was challenging his comfort zone. We got to get him off that a little bit. It wasn't even a harsh criticism. It was just like, it was a little bit much. And he was right. It is a bit much. But overall, when it comes to Jaylen Herz, I never look at him and go, Hertz just sucks today. He's got nothing today. Even the game against the Colts last year in Indianapolis, he wasn't that great. But in the fourth quarter, he was just like, all the rest of this game, the other 3.5 quarters of this can all burn in hell. We're going to march down the field. We're going to get a score. And that's what happened. So even when he plays below, I mean, his bar is pretty high, but even when he plays below his standard, he's still pretty damn good. And I know that's all he cares about is the standard, the win and the standard. You can win, but play below the standard and you feel unaccomplished. You could lose and play the standard and you still feel unaccomplished. So he literally said last week, I'm never satisfied. That's the game. I'm never satisfied. So, yeah, I heard the end of that press conference, and I agree with him 100%. Cody Ross is still rounding the bases from the 2010 NLCS. When's the last time the Giants were in the World Series? Didn't you guys fall apart this year? I mean, that's nice that you want to go down memory lane and everything, but, like, did the Giants make the playoffs this year? Are the Giants in the playoffs? Oh, no, they collapsed. That's right. The Giants collapsed.
And Gabe Kapler's still worried about what happened. He's not really sure. He's just going to have a glass of scotch during a post-game interview.
That was too much Jesse the Body Ventura in there.
It's just down here. This is where it's at. This is Gabe Kapler. I am very sad that we lost. I will now show my emotions through the beauty of interpretive dance. That's Gabe Kapler. Thank you. But yeah, Cody Ross. I remember that. Who can forget that?
Farzy can't bench the bar. How are you setting up the playoff rotation for the Phillies? Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez. Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez. Unless, I'll say this. This will make me change. Taijuan Walker pitches another good, I'll say 5 innings today, because they only gave Zach Wheeler 4 innings last night, 67 pitches, I believe is what he got to last night. So they cut him short. So that's the way I see them setting up the rotation for the playoffs. If Walker pitches well again tonight, then I'll go to Walker over Sanchez. But right now, I'm going with, he's been your most consistent pitcher since he's been here. He gives you a chance to win every single time out. And with this lineup, I'm all about it. And as far as Rhys Hoskins goes and him facing live pitching, quote unquote, taking batting practice, I think that's what I should really call it, batting practice. Him as a pinch hitter in the playoffs, yeah, I'll take that too. If I'm Topper, that's the way I do it. People, I only care about Jalen Carter, to be honest. Says always entertaining. Yeah, I really, no, that's your handle. Always entertaining people. Okay. I only care about Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is incredible. I freaking love Jalen Carter. I can't remember a time I've seen a lineman look like a man amongst boys as a rookie. Fletcher Cox didn't have this immediate impact. It's unbelievable. I want to see Jalen under center, says Trucker Beans. Okay, great name. Philly Clipper. Good morning, Farzy. Good morning, Philly Clipper. Farzy, how many espressos deep are you? I'm one espresso deep. Man-on-man love is the love I like most. Okay, Niners day. Niners all damn day. Good for you. I'm in Eagles chats because I have no friend. Is this a different account? Okay, I was just going to say. All right. Fake Niner, uppercase Niner. Okay, thank you. Uppercase Niner is a troll. Farzy, I love you, but I love you too, Babs. Farzy, I love you, but come on. Hertz definitely cares about himself with all those 1-yard touchdown runs instead of simply handing the ball. That's the play call, though. Remember, he transferred to Alabama because he got taken out of the chip. Yeah, I agree that he does care about himself, but I don't think those are called plays. Like that's not him calling the play, so I don't fault him for that. We stacked championships when we played in the World Series. Those were nice second place rings you guys gave out last year. It was this year. We have more rings. Never saw one, but I'm told. Okay, now you're confusing the hell out of me. I can't take 2 Niners all damn day chats. All right, over to the Farzy Show page. What's going on, guys? Our reports more minutes for Nolan True. Nolan Smith, I hope so. I'd love to see him out there more. Happy Football Friday, T-Bro. Thank you. Sean Kilrain, what's up? Angel Hernandez is horrendous. 23 missed call. Oh, God, that's terrible. Washington Commodores quit like we did the Bucks. All right. April! Why is Angel Hernandez still allowed to call games? I don't know. I wish I knew, but I don't know. That was awesome. Bryce made that kid. Oh, he did. That was pretty good. Yeah, that was great. Stubbs signs the jersey last night, and then Harper tosses the helmet, gives the kid that's pretty awesome. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Sean Kilred, I think Stoutland University is going to bring it to Washington. Washington's front four, no worries. All right, I'm fine with that. The brotherly shove is on everyone's talking head / hot take. It's ridiculous when you have much more relevant topics. I agree. Just wish the Commanders had the original owner and Wentz is the quarterback. Power rankings don't mean anything. I'm with you there. Farzy is going to make me look up. Well, it's Kapler. You'll see. You'll see. You'll see. Travis. Was it Travis? No. Yeah. No. Sean Gillespie. You'll see when you look up Gabe Kapler. When you look up Gabe Kapler, you'll enjoy his vocal stylings because they are just outright hilarious. I like Gabe Kapler. I really liked Gabe Kapler. I didn't think he was a good fit for Philadelphia. Two things. He wasn't a good fit for Philadelphia, and he wasn't a good fit for the Phillies. All you need to know is Philadelphia found him to be wildly disingenuous because, hey man, if you're not from here and you're not even from like the Northeast corridor of the United States, the way Gabe Kapler comes off as if he's a used car salesman. I met Gabe Kapler a number of times. I thought he was great and really nice guy, very genuine, but just the way he is not the way we are. And when we see that, like every time I've tried, maybe it's a fault of my own, but like if I was in Green Bay and someone just starts talking to me, I'm like, what do they want? What are they trying to sell me? Someone's just hiding me on the street. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, hi, okay. Gabe Kapler is a very warm guy, very nice guy, and I just don't get it. He didn't fit, and so that, and then on top of it, curveball machine, and Bryce Harper literally laughing at the curveball machine idea when it came to this squad. So that's the way it looks right now. Anyway, that's more Gabe Kapler conversation than I really planned on. So yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everyone. You guys are great as per you. Oh, Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. How dare I? How dare I? And also, don't forget about our friends at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got the Eagles winning 31-13. That should be a fun one. And if you did not see the Thursday Night Football game last night, the third quarter going to the fourth quarter, the referees gave the Packers an extra play. If you didn't see this, if this happened in Philadelphia, we'd be going ballistic. So time expired at the end of the third quarter, and Jordan Love heaved the ball down. First off, the snap came after the not the play clock and the quarter clock expired. And I know this, but they also talked about it during the broadcast. A lot of times fans will see the play clock, I knew it was going to happen, play clock expire and go, well, it expired, call it. The way it works is the referees will look at the play clock, and when it ticks from 1 to 0, they then look down for the snap, and the snap has to happen right there. So there's like a downbeat. That's how they call it. The quarter clock is not like that. Why? I don't know, but that's the way it's been. That's the way it is. So they let the play happen, even though the quarter clock, the time of game, ticked off, and simultaneously ticking off a lot of Detroit Lions fans. The throw went, and it was a big completion, set them up for, I think, another touchdown as they were trying to make a big comeback in the game. If that happened in Philadelphia, we'd be losing our minds. Now, it ended up not being a factor because the Lions still won the football game, but it was just crazy. So the Packers ended up taking the loss. The Lions improved to 3-1 on the season. So pretty big season so far for the Lions. Nice to see another team in the NFC make some improvements, and that's the way they have. Still don't think they're a threat to the Eagles, but they're still a pretty damn good football team. Anyway, gave you my prediction, and the Phillies are at it tonight. 7:10 start time in Flushing, New York tonight with Taijuan Walker on the hill. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie.ag. That's MyBookie.ag. Thanks, everyone. Jim Hyde, produced the program, did a wonderful job. As per usual. Back with you guys tonight on Fightin's Postgame on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See ya.